This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the afternoon of Thursday, August 6th, 2026. I'm Alex Brown. Purdue University today introduced Tommy McClelland as the university's next vice president and director of intercollegiate athletics. McClelland, who comes to Purdue after serving as AD for Rice University, called the appointment the honor of his career.
My work in college athletics has been building towards a moment exactly like this. The more conversations I had, the one thing that stood out to me above all else is the quality of the people here. Their stories, their vision for the future left me certain that this is precisely where I'm meant to be.
He succeeds Mike Bobinski, who in June announced plans to retire at the end of the calendar year. The Northern Indiana Commuter Transportation District is preparing for the possibility of a future rail connection to a proposed Chicago Bears stadium development in Hammond as part of its newly approved 20-year strategic business plan. While a firm commitment has not been made, officials said the agency would explore ways to connect the South Shore line to a future stadium campus if the project moves forward. Indianapolis-based Comlux America plans to invest more than $22 million in its airport operations and create up to 375 jobs by the end of 2030. Governor Mike Braun's office said today that the expansion would more than double the aircraft completion and maintenance company's workforce at its 247,000 square foot operation at Indianapolis International Airport. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Thanks for listening to this IBJ Media podcast. You're probably going to remember this ad. Do you know why? Podcast advertising works. 85% of listeners recalled hearing an ad during a podcast, and 70% of podcast listeners have acted after hearing an ad. So whether you're looking to be heard across the entire IBJ Media podcast network, sponsor one of our shows, or just start with a 30-second ad, IBJ Media can help. Contact advertise@ibj.com to learn more.
The Indiana Family and Social Services Administration returned $310 million to the state's general fund this year, a dramatic turnaround for an agency once staring down a $1 billion deficit for Medicaid.
FSSA Secretary Mitch Robe credited the reversal to a series of reforms the agency enacted during his tenure, such as regular reviews, must-return mailers, stricter oversight of applied behavioral analysis therapy, and urging senior Medicaid members to enter into dual enrollment with Medicare without any changes to eligibility. While he channeled optimism during FSSA's quarterly finance review to close out fiscal year 26, Robe warned the reversal does not mean the state has fixed its unsustainable Medicaid cost trajectory. The agency reported a 23% decline in Medicaid enrollment since Governor Mike Braun took office last January, but overall expenditures fell by just 2%. The average cost per member is rising as coverage shifts to the sickest Hoosiers, with the greatest enrollment declines recorded in lower-cost programs like the Healthy Indiana Plan, otherwise known as the Medicaid expansion population. On Wednesday, Robe referenced the report from Pokagon Health Institute, finding Indiana ranked third in the nation for improper Medicaid expansion enrollments. Robe set a target of 2% growth to stabilize Medicaid spending to mirror general fund growth. FSSA saved the state $24 million by moving nearly 3,200 Medicare-eligible Medicaid members to dual enrollment status. The agency intends to urge more senior members to do the same to further mitigate costs. Abriana Herron, Inside Indiana Business Radio.
The Pokagon Band of Potawatomi Indians has completed the acquisition of full ownership of Mishawaka-based private equity platform company Mno-DREK. The transaction gives Mno Bomadsen, the Pokagon Band's non-gaming investment enterprise, full ownership of 3 precision manufacturing companies in Michigan and Indiana, including Michiana Global Mold in Mishawaka and Wilerico Tool and Engineering in Elkhart. Financial terms of the acquisition were not disclosed. Toyota Material Handling North America on Wednesday celebrated the opening of a new $100 million manufacturing facility in Columbus, the largest single investment the company has made at its headquarters campus. The 295,000 square foot plant is dedicated exclusively to producing electric forklifts. CEO Brett Wood said the company designed the facility to keep pace with growing demand for electric forklifts while allowing room for future expansion.
One of the proud things that we like to say about working for a company like Toyota, we don't plan for tomorrow, we don't plan for next week or next month or next year. we're actually planning for the next 5 years or even more. So we have a Vision 2030, and we meet routinely about that vision. And it's something that's part of our culture that's really important. So we started this factory with that in mind.
The new plant currently produces about 8 electric forklifts per day and will ramp up to 100 per day at full capacity. Indiana State Fair Commission Executive Director Ray Allison is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports and entertainment, and beyond. Available now on the IBJ Media app or your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.